Long Beach Main Library in downtown closed due to security concerns, officials say. The library. But if you think about it, why not the library? Public space, always open. Let's go in there and steal some books. Let's figure out what we got going on. Let's jump on into it. All right. So libraries here in Seattle, we've got like needle exchanges in the libraries because it's one of those public places where you can go to get a book and exchange your needle. And yeah, that whole thing. It's a city entity, right? City entity. Long Beach. Yeah, they've got some concerns there as well. They're going to shut down. And what they've been doing is they've been doing, you could show up and get your books, but you got to, dial them up online, hit your request, and then we'll bring them to the door and we'll open the door just a scooch, hand them out. And that way nobody can get in that's, going to do their shenanigans. They're not stealing books. They're going in there. They're hanging out, talking to homeless folks, drug dealers, whomever, whatever, crazy people. And I say crazy people, and a lot of, some of you push back and say they've got mental health care issues. Yes, they do. They're crazy. So, you've just got a situation where any public space, even private spaces like Starbucks restrooms now, we had the whole lawsuit where two guys were in a Starbucks and they were told to get out because they weren't, they couldn't use the restroom because they weren't paying customers. Yeah, restrooms are always for paying customers, right? I mean, that's just how this works. And then Starbucks opened up their restrooms to anybody and everybody that wanted to do that. And then the CEO found out that major concern of the employees was their personal safety because a certain element was coming in and using their restrooms that they weren't in there just buying coffee and whatever else it is, getting a breakfast sandwich. They weren't doing that. They were taking advantage of a policy where you've got an open space, restroom, and they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So you've got that same element going on here in Long Beach. And you've got a situation even there where they've had to put up fencing to keep the, homeless and crazy people out of the public library so that other citizens can use said library for getting books and reading books and studying. Remember when you used to go to the library and you'd actually study? Well, it's gotten apparently bad enough in some of these cities where they're like, yeah, we can still get you your books, but there's going to be a little different protocol. You can't come in here and study and do your thing, which is a real shame because that's the point of the library. It's a dedicated space to reading, to studying, to having quiet time. Remember the whole, hey, it's the library. Shh, be quiet. That's so people could think. The city closed its new Billie Jean King Main Library in downtown for in-person services due to security concerns among staff, officials said. The library opened in 2019 at a cost of $48 million. That seems like a lot of money for a library, but infrastructure and all those books are not cheap, right? It's now open to to-go service only. Yeah, I got delivery for you. But we'd rather have you come in and you grab your book and you jet. No staying. The change went into effect September 27th and was initially expected to last for 2 weeks. We'll get this all squared away in 2 weeks. We'll have security up and running, razor wire on top of the fences. No, making that part up, but essentially, according to a notice the city posted on Twitter, however, Kathy DeLeon, Director of Library Services, said Thursday it will likely be a few more weeks before the facility reopens to the public. DeLeon said the library has had to strike a balance between providing for the safety of the public and staff from people experiencing mental health issues in and around the facility. Located at Broadmoor and Pacific Avenue and offering services to the public. So you've got people walking in, you've got people that come to this area that, we know the drill. They're walking around, and half the time when I see, I'll look at a storyline and I'll see that it's a mental health care call. But when I see what those people are doing in those, you see videos on TikTok, or you see them on Twitter, or you see them on YouTube. If you watch like Kensington Avenue, people having mental, crises or issues, oftentimes they're just whacked out on drugs. That's what it is. They're whacked out on drugs. So yes, you've got people out on the streets that shouldn't be there, that definitely need mental health care, provided to them. They should actually be in a facility somewhere having their safety looked over, because they're not safe on the streets on their own. How often do we read a story about, well, there was a homeless encampment nearby and they found a body? All the time. I read about that at least a couple of times a week. I mean, here in Seattle, we just had one, Highway 509, I think it was. And so somebody's like, hey, it looks like there's somebody hurt down on the, off the side of 509. And they weren't hurt. They were dead. They had passed away. We don't know what it's from. But, would they have died, of natural causes if they were in an institution somewhere? Maybe. But when you're in a tent and a riddled environment and riddled with crime and all the craziness that goes on without people around to help you, and actually they do the opposite, which is encourage you to do drugs to alleviate all this, stuff you've got going on in your head. That's the commonality between the homeless encampments, the big homeless encampments, right? Sure, there are some people that are there temporarily trying to get back up, trying to, work in multiple jobs. Of course, there's a small percentage of that, but the vast majority, and the activity coming out of the homeless encampments, the activity ending up in the library in Long Beach, that's what you've got going on. We didn't used to have this. We didn't used to have to close down the libraries, did we? No. Why was that? You could go to the library and get a book, sit down and read that thing. Maybe you get a magazine. Maybe you rent a movie, anything in those type of formats you can get at the library. I've been watching Stranger Things, and one of the cool scenes is when they've got the two kids, that are working in the video store. It reminded me of so many different things. Like they would play a movie, for the morning, couple hours in the morning. So you could go into Blockbuster and they'd have a movie playing and you'd be like, oh, maybe I do want to check that out. You'd stand there and watch it for 15 minutes and your wife and your little kids would be like, Dad, we got to go. We already got our games. I was never allowed to get, movies that I wanted to see, because big Friday evening experience was take the whole family to Blockbuster and let the kids rent like 3 different games. And then they just play it and we'd wait until they go to bed. And then Mom and Dad would, just pass out because, it's late and you did the big job of getting the kids and Blockbuster and maybe dinner and all that stuff. But, the whole Blockbuster thing, all this stuff has changed and you don't have that. And so libraries, one of the last kind of bastions of places where people can kind of go and hang out and do their thing. And now they can't even do that. Now they can grab their books through the door so that, the influence that we're trying to avoid here can't scooch in and get in there and do God knows what's to the books and the movies and whatnot. So the Long Beach Police Department assigned special security personnel to the library, but has experienced staffing shortages. I wonder, did they defund their police? I have to get back to you on that. It's impacting their ability to have a consistent security presence. Even if they didn't defund their police, policing in general, as we've talked about a million times here, it's not unlike any other industry, but it's worse because you've got to have the training to get people up and running. And, a lot of these police forces already came into the pandemic with low numbers. And since the pandemic, since the George Floyd thing, their numbers have been reduced even further, some significantly, to the point where a lot of folks are like, you know what? There's going to be a big issue at some point in time here when we have a massive public safety issue. So the library director said the library has had situations where individuals have had an active mental health crisis on the premises. code for they might also be on some wacky, wacky drugs. I was watching a video that my son sent to me yesterday. It was of a woman who was having a mental health crisis out at the street, out in front of a house, and gal was recording, and she pretends to run up the street, and she does a U-turn around the police car, gets in the police car, drives it like 100 feet, smashes into a tree, hops out of the car. The cops, take her down, get her, squared away. The car just comes back just on a downhill and bam, right into another tree. And some girl got it all mostly on video. That person was having a mental health crisis is what the call was. But the girls recording the video kept saying she's on water. She's on water. And so I had to look that up. And apparently that is code for PCP, or taking a cigarette or a joint and dipping it in formaldehyde. Yeah, because apparently that's a thing. So, these mental health crises, oftentimes there's somebody doing some wacky drugs, because I can't imagine what happens if, you put a little formaldehyde in your system and you're still alive. That can't be a good thing. Staff members do their best to de-escalate situations, but some incidents require a police response. It's no different than a number of urban libraries, she said. Council member Susie Price said at a mayoral forum last month that staff members have been attacked by people experiencing mental health issues, and they want armed police officers there to protect them. Defund the police to, good Lord, where's all the cops? Literally what we've got going on. The city said in its tweet that during this service shift, we'll have to work to address appropriate staffing levels, and specialized staff training will take place to best support our library team and all of our community members who visit our library. So now we've got employees at the library basically taking training in how to de-escalate a situation with somebody who should be in an institution and or should be in detox or rehab or both. But no, the library employees at X bucks an hour, they're going to be the ones doing that. Other city library branches remain open to the public, though since early August, 3 branches have remained open only to go services, meaning it's good to go. Get your bag of books and go home and read. As well, due to staffing shortages. So you got these situations where, a lot of this stuff can be blamed on, we dumped all the people out of the institutions, whether it's prison or mental institutions, but then you don't have enough people to kind of make control of this. You don't have enough cops, you don't have enough personnel, because you've got this massive labor shortage coming out of the pandemic. And here we are. Library staff at the 3 locations now at the main library meet cardholders at the door and hand deliver the requested items. It's what they're doing. So this is kind of just one more thing where, the library no longer safe. I don't know if you've gone to a library lately. I have not. I have not been into a library in years. I can't remember. Probably took my kids when they were little to the library would be the last time. But with everything being online, it's kind of like, all right, I'm just going to go down that road. But for those who want to go to the library, they should be able to do so without having to worry about who's going to be in there. Is it going to be safe? Is somebody going to have a breakdown? Is this what we're going to expect? Yeah, wild stuff, right? All right, that's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.